very good morning to everyone that's joining us on the live feed this morning. My name is Ross Couper. I'll be hosting a live feed for a while. I'll bring you the live feed from Singita Sabi Sand in South Africa. A couple of elements have been happening here. So just behind the bush is very well concealed. There's a male leopard. The Tavan Gumi male. He was spotted walking down the road by Mac, one of the guides that was moving through the area, and he followed him into the thick bush, and surprisingly enough he's actually come across his mother and her two cubs, and currently he heard a warthog move out of a burrow here, and he's got quite a full belly. It's not unusual that he'd be an opportunistic hunter to a warthog. I'm going to drive into the sighting of where the female is and her two cubs. Let's see if we can get a view of them, but I wanted to show you this very good looking male. He's also had a meal recently. I doubt he's been eating off the same carcass as the female. I'll maneuver around the bush here as best as possible. There's not too many warthog burrows out here, but the termite mound is usually an ideal area for them. I'm going to have to move forward to get a better view. So he is an independent leopard. He's moving out on his own. However, he's not a territorial male yet. He's going to move back to where the burrow was, where the warthogs were coming out. We'll see if we can maneuver around. We'll have to do a circle and also see the female up in the tree. Lindsay to hold the camera as we make our way in here. Just because we need to navigate around some bush. So as we're going close here, you can actually see there's two cubs up in the tree. One is feeding on the carcass on the right, and then there's another cub further to the left, and then the female's lying on the branch. Try and maneuver in to give you a better view. I know it can be hard on the camera that you're using. Just scouting out to see if I can see where that Tabagumi male moved to. Potentially might try and come into this area. There's also a hyena right at the base of the tree here. And that's not unusual to see in a scene like this. fast asleep on this branch with its mother, and the other cub is feeding on the carcass at the moment. We might get lucky if the sun breaks out that it's not too silhouetted. Let's see if we get a better view of them. And it's by sheer luck in following one leopard to find another three. The Tabagumi male, which we saw earlier, is the son of Scotia from her previous litter. She actually had two cubs from her previous litter, a male and a female, and the male survived, which is the Tabagumi male. And unfortunately the female was killed by a hyena, so we presume. It's not likely that she'll allow that male to climb up this tree and try and take any of this carcass while the cub's here. She'll defend it. And she is quite aggressive to that male, just given the fact that she no longer has any parental care or duties over him. He'll definitely keep his distance, but always is that chance that he would try and be opportunistic to getting up that tree. I'm going to see if I can reposition my vehicle one more time here. Another view. Still a little bit silhouetted, so we might have to wait a bit for the sun. You can see the silhouette of the female up on the right and the younger cub, and then just to the left the cub that's feeding at the moment. It looks like there's two hyena moving in the area. There's one of them. We're waiting patiently for any potential bones or bits of skin to drop down. And occasionally what can happen is that with the cubs feeding on the carcass and their inexperience, they accidentally drop the carcass down. Looks like the remains of the head of a impala ram that cub is feeding off. there is I see that we've running a bit of difficulty with our connection. I'll try and wait for the sun to just appear out as well. Let's see if we can continue with our live feed. There you go. And you can see all three leopards silhouetted up in the tree. Hey, good morning to everyone that's joining us. I actually saw two hyena in the area, and both of them have been looking in the direction of where we were watching the Tabangumi male. That male leopard is no longer viewable. I can't see him. He might move closer to the tree or the carcass shortly. Probably very wary of his mother up in the tree still. Only a leopard can make a tree look comfortable, that's for sure. With the hyenas here, it's unlikely that any of those leopards would come down. It's quite comfortable being up in a tree like this. A marilla tree, it's an ideal tree for leopards to be in. It's got usually pretty comfortable branches, low sort of limbs to the tree, very soft bark so their claws can dig into the tree when they're climbing up. Just having a scan around to see if that fourth leopard is moving closer, but I don't see anything at the moment. I see that our signal's going in and out. I apologize. We're actually in a sort of a lower area off a crest. Hopefully when the sun does come out we can actually get a nice view of these leopards up in the tree. As I was saying, it is a little bit silhouetted with the cloudy skies this morning. The leopard cub on the left hand side has just decided to urinate onto the poor hyena. See, the hyena is actually not even concerned about it. Unfortunately, if you do need to go to the restroom, there's a hyena below you. That's what's going to happen. So the cubs usually would get a name once they become independent. So like the previous litter from the Scotia females, the Tavangumi male. Usually a name is associated around some sort of character or even area in which they are. And even though they get to roam freely between different private areas of land, you generally find where they were born or where they spend most of their time. That's kind of where the naming comes from. You tend to associate far more with them over longer periods of time. You can find that they will move to neighbouring private reserves or even into the Kruger National Park. They'll retain that name as they move. It's obviously easier for us to keep our records, particularly within our projects that we do with Panthera. Good morning, Blair. The leopards that we're looking at, the original leopard that we were showing at the beginning of the feed was the Tavangumi male, and he's led straight to this tree that has 3 leopards in it. The one on the right hand side is obviously the female, which is the Scotia female, and then the 2 younger cubs. One on the far left that's moving around is feeding on the remains of an impala carcass. So on my screen it does look a little bit silhouetted. I'm not sure if you can actually view anything within the live feed on your screen, but we thought we'd sit here for a few minutes just to see if that Tavangumi male does come a little bit closer. He did walk directly towards this area, and then a warthog shot out of a burrow, and he seems to have shown a little bit of interest into where that warthog was going. And there's 2 hyena at the base of the tree. And it's not unusual that the hyenas will move in quite quickly. Obviously the sound of the leopards feeding off the remains of the carcass, that sound would carry through the bush, and I'm sure those hyenas would make their way here. Not to mention they may have heard at the given time that the leopard had killed the impala. There may have been a lot of noise or commotion that would have drawn them into this area. And so they're waiting patiently for the opportunity that eventually, if that carcass does drop down or pieces drop down, they'll capitalize on a free meal. It does happen quite often that when the cubs are feeding on these carcasses that they tend to lose the carcass, just due to inexperience of maneuvering that carcass, but also the weight of it. A cub is only 4 months old, so to maneuver the carcass around and feed off it can be difficult. And sometimes it could slip off those branches, drop down. Often the female will get down as quick as possible and try and retain the carcass. You're right, Denise, there is another leopard named Scotia, which is further to the south. It's in the Sabi Sand area. It does make it confusing when that happens. I'll see if the sun breaks through and then we can get a nice view of the leopards. I see that we're having a bit of difficulty at the reception as well today. So hopefully the reception will restore a little bit better, possibly just due to the weather at the moment.